And it looks like, at least temporarily, at least early on, the impression is the Phillies can play with those big, bad Los Angeles Dodgers. They take 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, as predicted by certain somebody in the studio. They got great pitching performances from Jesus Luzardo, who, listen, he looks like a stud, and we'll have to hold off on that. But the Phillies went head-to-head and toe-to-toe with the Dodgers and beat them in 2 of 3. There are a lot of things we can take from this series. There are a lot of things that we can complain about as well. But 2 of 3 is 2 of 3. And when I look at the Dodgers, I go, okay, they're going to probably get better. But the Dodgers have been touted as this impenetrable starting pitching staff with bullpen and starters, with Ohtani, the best player in the league, who apparently didn't want to play this weekend. I don't know what was going on with him. He looked terrible. 1 for 11 and made a boneheaded decision to try to steal a base, a needless base to try to steal, which could help a man get out of an inning. There are some problems that we'll talk about, but 2 of 3 is 2 of 3. Phillies ring the bell early on in the season that they're not intimidated by the supposed best team in baseball. Bill Colarulo's with us. Ray Dunn is with us as we start another week. Bill, what did you think of that Phillies weekend?
Well, good morning, Mike, and you're right. You called it 2 of 3. You even predicted which games they would win and which games they would lose, so I give you credit there. See, here's the thing, and I don't want to be negative today because I'm extremely excited that you just took 2 of 3 against the last season's World Series champs, against a team as dominant as the Dodgers, and you did it on Sunday, battling back twice. But I was already high on this Phillies team coming into the season. I predicted them to win 95 games, and the reason why I was so high on them was for 2 reasons. I was excited about the new additions that Dombrowski brought on, and I was hopeful that some of the guys who had down years towards the end of last season were going to bounce back. This weekend, I learned that there's still major question marks in 2 of the 3 additions. Like, you have no questions about Jesus Luzardo. Unbelievable start, 7 innings, 0 earned runs, only gives up 2 hits. Love it. Jordan Romano's terrible. And there could be a major issue with his velocity being way down. What's going on with him? Is he hurt? He says he's not. But Jordan Romano is a major issue now in that bullpen. You were nervous about the bullpen already coming into this season, and Romano hasn't done anything to make me feel good. I was excited about Max Kepler in left field, and even though he's an upgrade from Austin Hayes, he hasn't necessarily done anything to make me confident that they have an answer in left field. So those are the new additions. But then I look at, the current players that were already here last year that I was expecting to take a leap. I was excited for Brandon Marsh. Brandon Marsh is terrible. I know he makes that big catch in center field. The guy is terrible at the plate. He's on pace for another 145 strikeouts this season. He can't hit left-handed pitching. He can't hit the ball. So you got issues with Marsh. Alec Boehm already has to be sat down on Sunday, and they could say it was a planned rest day. It's not a planned rest day against the Dodgers. It's because he was sulking again this past weekend. So when I look at it, I'm excited. I don't want to be negative. They took 2 of 3. They're a good baseball team. But some of the things that I was really excited about, I'm not as excited now.
Wow, look at you. 2 of 3 they take from the Dodgers, and all we get from you is venom.
Well, it's just, come on, man. Like, with Alec Boehm, really? After everything that happened in the postseason last year, and you had to be benched for your attitude.
Did he get benched because he was sulking?
I think he was. Now, they said it was a planned rest day.
Well, listen,
I think it was.
The other part of that is that this guy right now wants to give Sosa as many at-bats as he can, and he should. And now, here's the problem now with Sosa, I believe. I think they're going to try to overplay him now. They're going to play him at second. They're going to play him at third. They're going to try to play him in left field. They're going to do that. And I don't know if that's a good idea, other than to just keep him in his place. You're right about the bullpen. The bullpen is flimsy. And, it's flimsy from the top half, much less the bottom half. If you're talking about guys like Kerkering and Romano, now Alvarado obviously threw a lot of pitches, and, he's been very successful, but the Romano thing and Kerkering hasn't looked that sharp, and Strahm has looked okay. Yeah, and that's before you get to the bottom half of the bullpen. So, but I look at the Dodgers, and they had the same problems. There wasn't anybody they brought in that was lights out. They struggled the whole weekend with that bullpen.
Yeah, they did. And then, obviously, the starter, Glasnow, completely melts down in the rain, which was just embarrassing.
What a baby. Let me tell you something. If I'm a team leader on that team and I see that performance, I'm thinking when they went out to the mound, he's stomping around there trying to get the mud out of his cleats. You know, if I was a leader, I go, yo, Holmes, hey, how about if you grow up? How about if you play up to your ability here and help us out? Yeah. That's what I would say to him. You know, you can't do it on the mound, and you probably can't do it in the dugout either. But maybe somebody ought to take that guy aside and say, dude, you're acting like a child.
Yeah, it was embarrassing, man. It was embarrassing. But I give the Phillies credit because once they noticed that he was melting down, they walked the bases loaded, didn't they? It was 3 straight walks that they get the bases loaded. And then Castellanos, sitting on a first pitch fastball, puts it into the seats for a grand salami. So that was awesome. So, I mean, there was a lot of positives. I don't want to be Mr. Negative. It's just that a lot of the things I was excited about, I think, got exposed are still major question marks. And, I mean, let's be honest here. Let's call it like it is. The only reason they won on Saturday was because Ohtani makes that ridiculous decision to steal second. Romano was melting down.
Let's give credit to the catcher
JT,
who threw 2 guys out there as well. You got to have good throws to get those guys out. I don't know what Ohtani was thinking. Like he's supposed to be the best baseball player ever, right? And I go, what is the risk reward there? Well, like, what are you trying to do that's a reward? You're down 3 runs. Like, if you were the tying run and you want to get to say goodbye, I get it. You're down 3. What are you possibly thinking?
It made no sense. It made absolutely no sense. And when we talk about some of the bad decisions, I guess we could also look at Saturday's game where you got Stott running on a hit and run to avoid the double play, and then Schwarber ends up hitting into a double play. That was in that was the end of the game, or was that in the 5th inning? Now I'm trying to remember what that was. I think that was the 5th inning, right?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was in the 5th
inning.
So here's where I had a bigger issue. I just go back to Saturday. I thought that Rob Thompson made a lot of good decisions this weekend, but one of the ones I hated. You're losing 3-0. It's the 5th inning. JT walks. Stott gets a single. You got runners on first and second. The Dodgers go to the bullpen. They bring in a left-handed pitcher to face Brandon Marsh. Brandon Marsh is terrible. So you don't pinch hit for Brandon Marsh, and you don't bunt the runners over. So now what happens? Marsh hits a fly.
Who you pinch in?
Bring in Sosa at that point. You got a left-handed pitcher on the mound. Bring in Sosa. Maybe even let him bunt. Bunt the guys over. I think it was a 3-1 game at that point.
He can't bunt. he's made at least 5 failed attempts at bunting.
Exactly. So if he can't hit and he can't bunt and there's a left-handed pitcher on the mound, I thought they should have at least pinch hit there if you're not going to try to bunt the runners over. And then what happens is Schwarber hits into the double play because you're running Stott, which I wasn't as angry about that decision. I know people were angry, you can't hit and run with Stott when Schwarber's at the plate. I just think you should have bunted the runners over or at least brought in a pinch hitter.
Well, when you steal, you're trying to stay out of a double play, too. So I don't have a problem with that either. I don't know. JT didn't score on that play. I'm thinking, was he really busting his ass? I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to look at that. Nobody really has brought that up. We didn't have a shot of what JT was doing down there to score the run before the out.
Well, he had a tag. So I guess he's tagging from third. Stott gets thrown out at first, and he's only halfway, and he gets thrown out. So I don't think even if Realmuto is flying, he's going to make it.
I don't know.
There was a lot of positives, but I also just noticed some issues that I'm worried are going to rear their ugly head as the season progresses. And mainly it's the back end of the bullpen.
All right, so we'll talk about it. Ray, your thoughts about what you saw this weekend? Did they send a message to these big bad Dodgers?
I think they just reminded the league of who they are. I don't know if it was necessarily a message to the Dodgers. Like, this is a team that, when rolling, can beat anyone. And it's funny that, Castellanos, I'm going through now, like, the playoff wins and playoff series wins since he's been a Philly, and really in the post-Reese era, because Reese was that right-handed bat for that lineup in 2022 in the postseason, that, like, when Castellanos makes you pay on a mistake, that's the difference in so many of the ways that the Phillies win in the postseason. You go back to that Braves series that they win in 2023. You think about the big hit for him against the Mets. Like, when he's going, this team, its ceiling is raised by so much. And, yeah, that pitch was middle, but he didn't miss it. And that grand slam ends up being a massive difference in the way we look at this weekend. Like, they took advantage of pitcher making a mistake. And that's the beauty of this lineup, that when they're bashing, when they're going, they're great. We know what the other side looks of that. But they remind the league, yeah, we could compete with anyone. And this team that people were saying, they're going to win like 120 games. They spent $25 trillion. The Phillies could beat them. And they've now, since the start of last season, won 7 of 9 against that team.
There you go. Phillies can beat them. One other thing I'm going to pick on Ohtani about. Yesterday, it's the top of the 7th. Pages starts it with a single. Ohtani walks. Betts hits a double to right center. How does Ohtani not score on that? See, the guy had, 55 stolen bases last year? He runs like a whippet. He didn't score on that? He got to third base. Now, he wound up scoring on a sacrifice fly. But come on, dude. It's like he didn't want to show up this weekend. 610-632-0975. Mike Missanelli Show right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Hey, everybody, it's Bill Colarulo. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel so you can engage during the show, and you're not going to want to miss all the content that we post. It's not only the live videos. It's videos after the fact. It's our shorts. It's all the content you want as a Philadelphia sports fan. Looking forward to connecting.